So you have CMHC, Sagan, and Canada Guarantee. And the rep from Sagan was talking about the fact that if you're looking at buying, all data from them is that we've already hit the bottom and that we're bouncing back in Ottawa.
You're listening to the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast with your hosts, Paul Stevenson, David Warren, and Greg Campbell. Let's see what's going on in the world of real estate today.
Hello,
Yes.
and welcome back. It is the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast, and spring has sprung, gentlemen. It's spring. The spring market is upon us, and we're ready. We're poised.
That does not sound like ChatGPT wrote that one.
No, I'm in Drive GPT today, so I'm not no chatting. My name is Paul Stevenson. I am a mortgage agent, and I'm joined by Greg Campbell, realtor, managing director at the agency Ottawa, and David Warren here, owner of Referral Mortgages. Gentlemen, it is spring now. How are we feeling?
Spring has sprung. Spring has sprung.
Feeling good. I actually, I feel like I'm finally organized for recording this. I actually got my old mic back, a little more together.
Yeah, you sound great today, and I don't sound as good as I usually do, and you sound amazing.
Thought we'd just swap. One of us.
I'm barely here.
Yeah. You're an avatar.
That's all right.
No.
I want Steven to have just that opaque. I want Steven to have that like baby blue or like bluish background with just the dark gray avatar head as my picture today.
Yes.
That's what I'd like.
Yes. Well.
Or me in Colombia in the mountains with my campesino hat on.
Either or.
Either or.
Always
Yeah.
So what?
We're always in places looking good, looking fresh.
Very active week, gentlemen, in the market. I know there's a lot of offers going in, but also we talked very briefly last week about the Silicon Valley Bank, the collapse there, what that meant for the market, what that meant for rate increases and so on. So lots of changes over the last week. What have you guys been seeing in the market?
So, I mean, certainly on the rate side of things, with everything coming at SVB and Signature Bank and the other regional banks that have had issues, and then, Credit Suisse and Switzerland, we definitely saw the bond market come down drastically between Friday, a week ago Friday, through to Wednesday. It did tick up a little bit, but the bond market certainly has come down, and so has rates. We've seen, this past week, we saw a number of lenders come down on rates, which has been nice. You're starting to get, at least this past week, we don't know. It depends on how long the bond market stays down. If it does stay down, then we'll start to see the conventional rates stay in the fours. Right now, there are a number of lenders that are offering 30-year amortizations with full, with discretion rates, but down into the high fours, which is we haven't seen in a very, very long time. So that's been very interesting. And then again, over this weekend, we had Credit Suisse out of Switzerland was officially bought up by UBS Bank, which the Switzerland government helped to kind of marry those two together so that it would create some stability in the global markets as well. So I'm interested to see. We're recording this. It's 9 a.m. on Monday morning. I'm interested to see how the market reacts in the next 11 minutes when the opening bell is, to see how the bonds start moving and how the equities market and banks start kind of reading into this news, how that really ripples across the market. But last week we were seeing a lot of banks and the economists saying now that they're expecting, they're kind of pricing in the 1/4 point decrease by the Bank of Canada in April. So, which is a big turn of events. We'll see if that actually happens.
Sooner than expected, I think.
Yeah, about a year sooner. Yeah. So it'll be
what a surprise. Something just changing overnight like that again.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if that happens, but certainly that is what the bond market's pricing in, and most economists are talking about now. But obviously, all of this changed within 2 days, so it'll be I think over the next little bit, it'll be interesting to see how things ripple out. I was on a lender panel all Friday, and they were speaking as well as Sagan, and there was a few brokers, talking about what we're seeing this past week and in the market, and really even the bank and the insurers were saying, day by day, what's going on today is going to be different from what's going on tomorrow, just with how volatile the market is right now. And they couldn't even speak to that. They said they were having, it was the president of the bank that was speaking, and he was saying how they were having to have ongoing hourly conversations with their own treasury department, watching the bond market and repricing accordingly, watching their own spreads and everything. It's very tumultuous, and to say the least.
Yeah, it's interesting. And, we're getting back into the market where it's really picking up, and we're getting a lot of deals done. We're getting a lot of calls. Most people are not really talking about rates as much as before. They're just really focused on what they can get for what dollar amount and going shopping. Some people are still taking their time, a little bit hesitant. And I know that some of those buyers are the ones that were already looking last fall, which is interesting because you'd think that they would be the ones that would be ready to jump on a good deal. Especially when I say, well, this property was going to be listed at this about 6 weeks ago, and now it's listed at this, and they honestly can't believe it. But overall, people are shopping. The numbers are coming up, just like we said last week. What was the average I said last month? Was 709,000.
Yeah, and
yes.
So I think the end of this month, I think we're going to hit that 720.
And to that point, there was an article put out on Friday that the national average home price rose $50,000 in February. We kind of predicted that we hit the bottom and we were bouncing up, and others apparently are saying the same. And I'll kind of go back to that same Friday presentation and panel that I was a part of. And Sagan, which is one of the three mortgage insurers. So you have CMHC, Sagan, and Canada Guarantee. And the rep from Sagan was talking about the fact that if you're looking at buying, all data from them is that we've already hit the bottom and that we're bouncing back in Ottawa, and that it's on an upward trend. And if you're waiting to buy, that your prices are only going up, and rates are trending down. And so they expect it to be a relatively busy spring market as well. So that's not us. That's a mortgage insurer that is seeing those trends, and they watch those figures very very intently, obviously, and closely. And one figure that I thought was very, very interesting out of it is that they said the new condo starts, that the absorption rate, so the rate at which they're being built to being purchased, is 0.1%. Meaning and we're the only market in Canada that has that low of a figure when they looked across the entire nation. 0.1% absorption rate. So as they're being built, they're being purchased, which is very, very interesting. As we talked about, we talked a lot about the new immigration and work permit and all of those individuals coming in from an immigration perspective that play into that 500,000 new immigrants that we talked about, but that doesn't incorporate student visas, work permits, things like that. So they figure that number's closer to 900,000 right now that has come in. And so that's it was some very interesting stats, and really, it's not, it's nice to hear that it's not just us saying these things, it's and predicting them, that and us changing the market, us being the voice of Canada's housing market.
Well, Sagan's probably just saying that to prop themselves up, right? So they can influence the market.
So they can insure more mortgages.
But yeah, no, that is very interesting about the condo starts. And I think that just speaks to the fact that even though there has been less activity over the last 12 months, that doesn't neglect, or that doesn't erase the fact that there is still a supply issue, right? I mean, there's buyers sitting on the sidelines. Like last year, the whole point of raising rates was obviously to calm the market, or at least that was one of the main reasons. And it clearly did that because we saw transactions lower. But as you said, Greg, like less people are asking about rates, less people are digging further into it. They've just accepted that this is the market we're in now. Prices are increasing. If rates decrease, even better. But at the end of the day, people still need to buy homes. And I think all the people that were on the sidelines due to rate increases or hesitancy are now coming back to the fold. And they're also getting all the new buyers that are coming out in the spring. So I think we're going to have even more buyers now than we would have this time last year, which is going to create even further supply issues in the spring market if we see that, which could make potentially prices go up even higher than we expect because of that simple supply and demand calculation.
I think that, over all these years and all these conversations, that we can officially say there is 100% always going to be a supply issue in Canada. There's no way around it. It's always going to be here. So it's just a matter of how we navigate it, because that's not going away. Because I bet you the number of immigrants is going to triple in the next 10 years, coming in yearly.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and really, again, we always speak to Ottawa's market and how stable it is. And I've just seen I just see an attachment, if you can bring it up. It was very timely that I just received this borrower profile from Sagan from the presentation I was a part of on Friday. So it was in combination with Sagan, again, mortgage insurer, as well in combination with CREA, Canadian Real Estate Board, of Ottawa's borrower profile. So for those of you that wonder how people can be affording or properties in Ottawa, or there's no way that people can afford any homes here or anything like that. So there, over the last 12 months, the borrower profile, and again, this is for a mortgage insurer, so keep this in mind, where predominantly it's mostly first-time home buyers that are typically getting mortgage default insurance. Average income for a Sagan borrower, $157,000 household income.
Wow.
Tenure of employment, 3.9 years, 60% younger than 35 of their borrowers with credit scores over 660, 96%. The average mortgage, $561,000. Average GDS, so this is income covering housing expenses, is 30%, meaning the max they could go is actually 39%, but they aren't even hitting their cap or close to their cap. Average sale price, $623,403. The percentage of detached homes that they purchased, 21%. Kind of the reason why this was kind of outlined was first-time home buyers are typically getting into condos or into townhomes as their starter home and not jumping directly into a detached home. And so you've got, that's why you've got, being most of their clients, a mortgage insurer clients being first-time home buyers. That's why that, detached home percentage is a little bit lower. 28% of borrowers receive a portion being gifted down payment, not all of it, but at least in some capacity. Ottawa as a whole, over the last year, our population grew 9.2%, which I thought was ridiculous. I mean, a 9.2% growth for all of Ottawa, with a population now of 1,135,150. So, really very interesting. We have one of the lowest unemployment rates in Canada as well, 3.8% in January. We ticked to 4% in February, but we have one of the lowest unemployment rates as well. So really kind of interesting. That's Ottawa as a whole. They do have like profiles broken out by Canada, Barhaven, Orleans, Kingston, but across Ottawa as a whole, That kind of is very interesting and telling of what the, household income is. We talk about, and in the statistics that are out there, that Ottawa household income being, 109 or 119,000 median household income for Sagan as a mortgage insurer for first time, again, predominantly a lot of first time home buyers using them, that 157,000 as their average income. So
that's wild, man. That's incredible. And the number you said, 60% are under 35, and the average income is 150,000.
Yeah,
per household.
Almost 160,000. Yeah, per household.
So, and exactly. And there was a question, we always get those questions on the YouTube channel, like, how you guys are nuts. You guys are totally out to lunch. You guys are in outer space. How do you think that how can people afford that? It's like, well, David Warren, you just you laid it down for everyone. And I'm not saying that in a funny tone to insult anybody, but it's called get informed and watch more of TOREP. to get the answers that you need.
Yeah.
That's an incredible number, man.
And really it's also they're not at their capacity. They're not over. This is that GDS gross debt servicing figure of 30% is income covering housing costs and expenses. The average being 30% across Ottawa, they could be at the highest thing goes 39% to be maxed out. Now, this is also incorporating the stress test, meaning the greater of either the rate plus 2%. So assuming that their rate is 2% higher than what, and payments 2% higher than what they actually are, or 5.25%, which, so if they're, let's say they happen to be getting a rate a year ago at 3%. And so, 3 plus that stress test of, plus 2 is 5. Well, we'd be using as, on the mortgage for qualified for mortgages, would be using a minimum of 5.25. Now with rates, let's say rates are at 5% right now, they're having to qualify as if they're paying based on 7%. So this GDS is encapsulating mortgage payments that are 2% higher than what they actually are. And they're still not even hitting their max. Wow. So it does really show you that there is quite a lot of room to go for housing prices in Ottawa without people being stretched. And these are, again, younger than 35. So this is, 60% being younger than 35 at this
number for me.
Dave's making all the 36-year-old non-homeowners feel like crap this morning. Like, damn it, all those youngins.
No, I mean, I think it just shows you as well, though, that, we do have still very strong interest in purchasing homes for young, like first-time home buyers and young people, and that they are setting themselves up. Yes, they are getting some assistance from family, being 28% being some gifted funds, but that's still 75% of those are not receiving anything or any assistance at all. They are, planning, putting aside savings, getting in, again, these are people buying with as little as 5% down, getting into the market if that's a goal of theirs. But that number, the gifted down payment number to me is actually lower than I would have expected for, I would say, I guess it would be probably 3 and 10. I'm just trying to think of like my clients. Oh, can you hear me? Yep. Yeah.
Hello? Yeah. My clients who are under 35 that are first-time home buyers, I would say at least half of them are getting some form of gifted down payment. It might not be the whole down payment. Maybe they have 100K themselves and they're getting, 20 or 25 from a parent or something, but there's a large portion of them that have some form of gifted down payment. So that number of 20, let's say 25%, actually seems lower than I would have expected. I would have expected somewhere closer to maybe 40 or 45%.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the Orleans, and without getting through, because all the profiles for the different areas do change, but to your comment about gifted, Orleans has the lowest gifted amount at 19%, but they also have a lower average sale price. versus Barhaven and Canada and whatnot. So they kind of, correlate, if you will, a little bit there.
Well, on that note, why don't we get into some statistics?
Let's get into some statistics. Gregory.
Statistics.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So this is my stats update for 4 weeks ending March 20th, which is today, ironically, first day of spring again. So right now in Orleans for detached homes, we have 79 active, averaging 50 days on market at a list price of $870,000. We have 11 conditionally sold, averaging 93 days on market at an average price of $769,000. And the solds, 52 solds in the last 4 weeks, averaging 44 days on market at an average price of $774,000. So almost 100,000 less than what the active listings currently are. Sold in 2022, we had 77, 8 days on market at $878,000. So the list price of the current actives is almost the same as the average sold price of detached homes in Orleans a year ago. Interesting to see that.
Are you, so with that and taking those figures, and as well, I know we spoke at the beginning of the show, kind of a national home prices being up 50,000. Are you expecting then this figure to keep creeping up of the 774, or do you expect that the active listings that they're out to lunch as far as their pricing?
I 100% think that 774 will be at least an 825 in the next couple of months. The 870, I think that might be a bit high to go back to an average price, but we'll see. I mean, I definitely think we're going to break 8 as the average price probably in the next 30 days. Just from what I'm seeing. So we'll keep an eye on that. And I'll be back with Orleans in 4 weeks as well, so we can look back at this. Love this tracking. Let's get into the semis here. Semis, towns and semis. There's 35 active, averaging 38 days on market. 641,000 is the average price. 9 conditionally sold, averaging 30 days on market. 577 is the average price for conditionally solds. And solds, 35 sold, averaging 32 days on market. 587,000 is the average sales price. Same time last year, 74 sold, averaging 6 days on market at 680,000. So that's wild. The towns and semis really took off last year, as everybody knows. 680, I don't think we're ever going to see that. Well, we're not going to see that for a long time, but I do expect the towns and semis to break 600 as an average price in the next couple of months for sure. Condos, 36 active, averaging 37 days on market. 448,000 is the average price. We have 5 conditionally sold, averaging 15 days on market. 438,000 is the average price. Sold, we have 20 units sold, averaging 34 days on market at an average price of 399,000. So you can see the trend downwards again from active to conditional to sold. Sold in 2022, we had 51, averaging 6 days on market at 506,000. So now for the sold, for the market now, I think we'll come closer to the active list price, but I don't think we're going to come all the way. I like the 425, 430 for Orleans, I think is going to be good for average over the next coming months. And then we'll get into rentals, always my favorite lately. 36 active rentals, averaging 47 days on market, at an average price of $2,545. We have no conditional rental deals. 46 were rented, averaging 42 days on market at an average price of $2,455. And in 2022, same time, we had 34 rented, averaging 19 days on market at an average price of $2,225. So still the rental price is up, the average in Orleans, that's for sure. I don't know how much more down that's going to be at this point, because I think, there was the last couple months, the rental prices went down a bit, but I think now, especially with the prices of homes coming up again and more activity, that it's going to stick where it is. I could be wrong, but I think it's going to stay.
That's a big jump though.
I know.
Of $225 or $230 in rent. It's very interesting. Yeah. It's basically, it's a 10% increase year over year in rent.
Yeah.
Now, from an anecdotal standpoint, I've been speaking to, and maybe you can, this is more a question for you, Greg, but I've been hearing from a number of other mortgage brokers and in conversation with a couple of realtors that find anything that's like 700, 600K down is selling quickly. Anything 7 to $1 million is taking a little bit longer, $1 million and up is staying on the market. But that kind of up to 6 and 7 is, you know, those properties are very in demand and not staying around. And that's when you're hearing of the multiple offers, it is in that price range, but that 7 to $1 million is a little bit slower. Still a lot of interest. $1 million and up is taking much longer. And that's what kind of where that average is from. But if we looked at that under 7, it would probably be a heck of a lot lower than
anything that's coming out priced accurately is selling in a second in multiple offers. We had one deal where we had a property, we accepted a first refusal. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, is I had a property for sale. We agreed to a condition on the buyer selling their property to get the deal done on ours. And they sold it in 2 days. Firm. Actually, I'm sorry, they had 2 days of conditions, but they got it done at list price. So it didn't go for over asking, but it did have multiple offers and it sold at list price in 2 days. So there's still opportunities, like for the ones that are priced right. Anything right now that's sitting is overpriced. There's no question. However, if depending on the number of new homes that come out, those might sell quicker now in the next few weeks as more buyers come out. But yeah, I mean, it's still coming. Like there's way more coming out now, and the nice ones are starting to show up. And as we say, like that's where the buyers are going to go. They're going to go for the nice ones right away.
Yeah, no, I think it's important for people to kind of that are, you know, take right now, like you said, you can take your time. Places are sitting a little bit longer, but if you are in that price range where they're moving quickly, you know, it's not to rush you or anything like that, but certainly be mindful of that what you're seeing for average days on market is average across the board, but it's, you know, the 1 million plus that are sitting for much longer, and that 7 to 9, and that's where that average is being brought up, whereas the under 7 is a much shorter time horizon.
Yeah, it is. And you know, like we said, that $50,000 average, I'm telling you, like that is, I think that's very accurate, especially for Ottawa. So if there's if a home was if I would have priced a home at $500,000 4 months ago, 3 months ago, even 2 months ago, I'd be pricing it at $550 at least today. Yeah. So buyers should keep that in mind too. I mean, depending on the property, obviously, but as just a general rule of thumb, that $50,000 I find is very accurate for Ottawa.
So what
for
would
me,
you,
man? Oh, you got a question?
I do. So for, you know, there's less delays right now for builders. You know, their trades are there, materials are there. So they're actually, you know, their builds aren't getting as delayed like they were the past couple of years. So for people that have, say, a new build, finishing construction coming up, so let's call it June, July, August, when would be a good, you know, obviously it depends on the area and the price point, of course, but when would you say and when should they think about starting to list? Like how many months in advance has that changed with, you know, the market picking up or the days on market dropping a little bit?
Anyone who wants to list their home for sale should be talking to somebody right now. Because as a traditional market is, and the assumption of some homeowners who feel that selling in the summer is the best time, as we know, year over year, you know, come mid-July, August, there's a bit of a slowdown. I always recommend that as a time to go shopping, but I don't recommend it as a time to go selling. So anybody, if your home is incredible and you align yourself with the right agent and it's priced accurate in this market, you'll do exceptionally well because the amount of buyers coming out right now is outstanding.
And so so for those new build, you know, if let's say, like I said, closing in June, July, August, for that new construction that they're moving to and they need to sell theirs, get it on ASAP kind of thing.
Have it on the market like this week.
I think there's a lot of
they should have it on the
buyers. Yeah, a lot of buyers, and I spoke to one set of clients that they were thinking about going and looking at a property. They weren't really sure because they're like, well, we would need closing, you know, 3 months out, 4 months out.
No problem.
And I said to them, you know, because we need to list our place or whatever. I'm like, well, have you asked if that's acceptable for a closing date. They're like, well, people probably want to close in 30 days. I said, no, not necessarily. Like, everyone's situation is different. Some people need to close quickly because maybe it's vacant. They already moved. Other times, they've got new construction or or they're moving jobs or whatever it may be. Everyone's got a different reason for needing to sell or wanting to sell. And if you're interested in a property, just, I kind of use the term of throw a dart, but, put an offer in and ask for those conditions, ask for that closing date. And that could be a negotiation tool, but don't be dismayed about putting an offer on a property.
I talked to somebody yesterday on one of our listings. They asked what we wanted for closing. I said, as late as you would like, because we have to find a property. So like June, July, I'm like, either of those would be fine. I'm like, July, August, whatever. They're like, oh, wow, that's cool. Like, because that's actually what we were thinking. We're just starting our search, but we're thinking more of closing in August. I'm like, no problem. Like, we'll work. So you're very accurate with the misconception. People think that everyone wants to do it now. It's not true.
And for sellers, if their homes have been sitting for, let's say 45 days, they're probably sweating a little bit at this point. So that closing, 90 days out might not seem so crazy anymore, right? Where in the beginning, it'd be like, there's no way we're accepting, something 4 months away. But now they're probably a little more open to that idea after it's been sitting for, I think the average right now is about 45, 50 days, right, Craig, in Ottawa?
Yep.
So that certainly opens a few more doors when your motivations change. Like, if you had to sell your place and you're expecting a certain price and now it's been sitting for 45 days, you're probably going to be a little more open to those negotiation conversations.
Yeah. And I will say I give credit to those clients that actually did put in an offer and they did get it and went firm on Friday and they got a late, the very end of June closing.
Yeah.
They have to close within 30 days, but they were able to close, they were able to get it for end of June.
Interestingly enough, Paul, just back to conditional days on market right now in Orleans, the average days is actually 26. So it's coming down again.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
All right.
Well,
you got any dad jokes, Paul?
Yeah, any boosts?
Got any mood boosts?
I do. I just walked in the door to some.
Or so we just need to kill some time right now while you find your list.
Yeah, give me like 8 to 12 seconds.
All right, we'll do it. I'll give you a couple. What's new, Greg? While we kill some time.
What was that?
I said, while we kill some time. What's new?
What's new? Not much. Well, actually, a lot. But some of it's under wraps, so you're not going to know about it until next week.
Oh wow!
But,
wow. Sealed lips over there.
Telling you though, we got the phone's ringing. It's going to be a good year. Luke and I we got a lot going on and it's going to be kick ass. It's feeling good, especially coming out of the last 6 months,
Yeah.
I got it.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Number 1. I might have 3, I might have 4. I'm not sure yet. Number 1, a blind man walks into a bar and a table and a chair. It might not even be socially acceptable, that joke anymore. I feel like that's inappropriate.
We're fired.
I feel guilty saying it. Number 2, how did the hipster burn his mouth? He ate pizza before it was cool.
That's funny.
And number 3, very topical for today, spring is here. I'm so excited, I wet my plants.
All right.
Pretty good.
Oh, man. Pretty good. Well, everyone who's listening, thank you. Thank you for tuning in every week. And we will be back, hopefully, next week with a new episode designed to bring you Ottawa's news and updates. And I'll be back with ChatGPT with a proper intro. Any closing remarks, gentlemen?
Sounds good. No closing remarks. Just everybody, again, like Paul said, thanks for watching. If you need a hand with anything, give me a call. I'm always open to a conversation that will cost you nothing. Free advice from the Wizards of Torep.
I like it. And if you haven't already, give us a like. I think there's actually a super like button now. So if you really like us, hit the super like.
I don't expect anyone to super like us. Nobody likes us that much.
They barely like us to start with.
They tolerate us. Yeah, they tolerate us.
All right, gentlemen. Well, enjoy your
right.
day, enjoy your week. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Here's
Happy spring.
Later.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe because we'd really like that.